Hello and welcome back to another card layout video from me, John Bloodworth, Gentleman Crafter. This is what we're going to make in this particular video, and here's what I used. First of all, the layout, which I'll come back to in a bit. And then this was the inspiration for the card. It's a Flower Fairies decoupage, which I've already pre-layered, just because I didn't want to really spend time in this video fiddling around. This is the sheet though that I got it from, Flower Fairies sheet 19. I've got some red pigment ink, a stamp block, a very large honeycomb stamp from Impression Obsessions, sentiment, and then white cardstock that I'm going to make into the card, and some coloured coordinating cardstock, which I chose based on the colours in the decoupage. So let's get started. First of all, I'm going to score my card. So I've got a piece of card that's 8 inches by 6 inches, and I'm scoring that in half to make a 6 by 4 card. Now, I was planning to use this stamp to do an all-over texture. However, I didn't realise that these 6-inch, in inverted commas, stamps were actually smaller than 6 inches. So I decided to do a bit of a graduated effect with it. So this meant inking up the stamp, as I would normally do with my pigment ink, and then dabbing off a bunch at the bottom. I'll then position my card directly onto the stamp and rub it over. Careful of your fingers here, as you can get ink on them and smudge it onto the card. But that worked. So there you go, there's a tip. If ever you've got a textured stamp and it doesn't fit all the way down the card and you don't want a harsh cut-off line, do a bit of a faded effect. Now to cut down the layers, and if you would like to know the exact measurements that I'm using, of course you can head over to my blog, gentlemancrafter.com, and download the printable version of this template, which actually has all of the measurements written on it for easy reference. I will leave a link in the description below the video. And who likes my handy reminder about which stamp to use in this video? A massive post-it note with a single tiny arrow. But hey ho, that can be reused. Just inking up with a VersaFine ink pad and then stamping onto the area that I've decided is going to be used for the sentiment. It's just on a white cardstock. And then I will cut that out and just put a little bit of ink on the edges. I can't say that's my best stamping, however, because the distressing at the bottom was uniform, I decided to run with it rather than waste time in ink and all that trying to get it absolutely perfect. I thought, well, it kind of looks rusted and faded on purpose. A bit like my face. Anyway, so on to sticking the layers onto the card, as ever using the bookbinding glue from Pinflair. And instead of sticking the panels directly in the centre, for this layout I chose to actually line them up with the top edge of the card. So as you can see, if you're finding your cards are becoming quite formulaic, you can always just change things up just by moving the top layers around a bit. Had a bit of a problem with that corner. It didn't want to sit flat no matter what I did. So here's a tip. If you've got one of those thick base plates for your die cutting machine, you can always leave that resting on it for a few minutes and hopefully it'll sort out the issue. Not entirely sure it did it here, but I'm not that bothered. These are just for fun. So on we go with the decoupage. A decoupage or decoupage, whichever way you say it. I'm sure it all amounts to the same thing. Now, when I stuck this sentiment down, I really wasn't happy that it was straight, so I pulled it off. Thankfully, it hadn't fully stuck yet. And so I gave myself some wiggle time with some of that bookbinding glue. That meant I could spend time just making sure it was in position. And I thought, how about just, because I've got the rustic distressed text, maybe just roughen up a couple of the corners. I don't know if that really added to anything. It was just a thought. On with some gems as the finishing touch. And what I didn't actually plan was the fact that I would have needed the same amount for the top if I was going to frame it. And I just used the last couple of small ones. So I did a smaller border at the top. And actually, that kind of worked. By the way, I'm picking off hairs here. For some reason, there's a lot of dust around here lately. Anyway, that's card layout number 31. Thanks for watching. I hope you're enjoying these, and please feel free to leave any questions or comments below the video. That's it for this time. If you've enjoyed this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section below. And for more from me in the future, please remember to subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching.